Manchester City are 90 minutes away from winning the Premier League for the first time.
Goal! Breathtaking! Champions!
93-20, madness.
We're City. We don't do it the easy way.
93-20, forever in our history. And for this season, it's woven into our fabric. Manchester, it's a different city.
Champions.
Champions!
Dear friends, a very good evening to you. My name is Kel Spellman and it is so great to be back with you. There he is, Pep Guardiola, I think sat with his former teammate there, of course the Barnsley manager. They played together over in Italy, probably telling him a few tactics there. But I'm stood here in the CFA next to none other than Mr. Richard Dunne and Michael Brown as we get into this second pre-season game against Barnsley. Gents, it's been so great to be back. Is this your first game back since the summer, Michael?
It is. I've had a nice rest. Obviously, the last game was the Champions League final, so I've put my feet up, had a couple of holidays, a nice break, but I can't wait to get started, to come back, seeing the football and getting at games again and hopefully supporters as well. So it's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, it really, really is. And Richard, you know, we spoke about kind of last year how not having a pre-season might have kind of had a kind of say on why we had that slow start. Or is it key really to kind of hitting the ground running, do you find, getting a good pre-season under your belt?
Yeah, I think so. I think the manager every season so far, he sort of changed tactics slightly and introduced some new movements that the players have to use. And although there's still a lot of players away, it's important for him to get back on the pitch to see what players are coming through, and it's a great opportunity for the young lads to get some game time before the season starts.
Pre-season for you both. How did you find pre-season?
It depends how good a holiday you had, you know. Got some of them, you know, as well. If you've had that holiday just right on before you go back, you know you're going to feel it. I think over the years it got better and better, and you see people started to look after themselves that little bit better. But you know, a few seasons you did struggle. The first few weeks really didn't want to go back, get running again. I felt as you got older, you seemed to get used to it, didn't you? You didn't psychologically, it was better.
It's in your legs then. I think you just like memory you're going off at times. But certainly for me as well, when you were younger, it was about have your summer off, let your hair down, and then pre-season was for getting fit again, you know. But now the lads come back already raring to go, and it's just all about sharpness now.
And with managers, you know, would it vary? Would you played under different managers, of course. So would some managers kind of maybe ease you in, and then others would kind of be like hit the ground running from the start, or was it always usually baptism of fire straight in at the deep end?
I think it's changed over the years, hasn't it? You know, the first few days was always testing, I was always running, is seeing where you were, what you needed to be at. But now I think, especially Pep Guardiola, the balls are out very, very quickly. The sessions are all with the ball related, doing little drills and small-sided little areas and games, getting that touch, getting that movement. But I don't know if I've done some real grueling pre-seasons where literally first 2 weeks you don't see a ball.
Really?
Yeah, horrific.
Yeah, it used to be a nightmare. Really used to like have nervous breakdowns almost thinking about coming back to pre-season and what was in front of you. And I remember when much younger at Everton, and we used to be, you'd always know 2 days into the first week of pre-season was track day, and you take it down to the running track, and you wouldn't stop literally till you got sick. And I think then was Mark Hughes was the first one. He came in, he said, listen, all ball work from day one. And you think this is going to be handy, but it becomes difficult in a different way.
I think what it as well is that they wanted to test you mentally.
Yeah.
To see who was there right throughout when it's not going so well, when you're not feeling great, looking at your teammates, who'd get players through. And you certainly had that reward in pre-season when you finally got towards the end. You could have a little beer together on your trip and get to know your new teammates. And you're waiting for that first game. You're desperate. And actually, the first few games, you actually played fatigued. You train in the morning, to make it even tougher. You might do 45 minutes, and psychologically, as I said, was the one.
We've seen as well, of course, a whole host of kind of Manchester City Academy products. A lot of young players, of course, as we still wait for players returning. When you were first coming through, as a young player, how is pre-season? Because for some of these lads, it's probably their first experience of being in a first-team setup. Is it quite overwhelming, or do you kind of want to go, I want to prove myself?
Yeah, you want to go and prove yourself. It's your opportunity, you know. I think for me, I got in towards the end of one season, so when I come back for pre-season the next time, it was like, right, I'm actually in now with the big lads. I need to try and go and prove yourself. And you can see the experienced players, the older ones who know how much to put in the morning and maybe take it a bit more relaxed in the afternoon, whereas you're going 100 miles an hour. No, you don't learn it until you get older and stuff, but you can see it. But I think as a youngster, the opportunity to train with the first team, to see what professional football is all about is amazing. And certainly nowadays with the games that Man City normally would play, the opportunity for them lads to play in big stadiums, to play against top world-class players is huge for them.
I think it's got much better at the likes of Manchester City because the European tournaments, the players playing all the way through. If they were all back, these players wouldn't get an opportunity. They wouldn't be able to play in these games, to play amongst it, so Pep Guardiola can go and see and show what they can go on and do. So I think it works really well for them.
I know they've usually got the kind of who's going to be in the first team more or less sorted beforehand, but, you know, is there a genuine chance that if there is a player here that really kind of steps up, they go, actually, you can make the jump to the first team, or do you think that's kind of already sorted beforehand?
No, I think you've always proving that. Pep's looking to see what type of player can actually go and make that stance, go and have the bravery to take the ball and to go and play with these players, international players, world-class players, to go and say, give me the ball, I've got the character, I can go and do it. And you know, one we've sort of been looking towards to seeing more of is Cole Palmer, and you know, that's an opportunity in an area. We've seen the likes of Phil Foden come through. So ultimately, fantastic opportunities for these players.
Well, let's see if Cole Palmer has made the starting 11. We just saw Pep over there, and here is who he has chosen to start our first half against Barnsley. Zach Stefan returns to the net, and it's looking like a back four of João Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, and Benjamin Mendy. Fernandinho, I think, maybe sitting with Cole Palmer if it was to go by that first game in Preston North End. I really enjoyed seeing Cole in the middle. And it's looking like a forward three of Mahrez, Adozi, McAtee, and then Ben Knight in front of them. On the bench, we have Mickey Van Sass, last year's under-18 goalkeeper, of course, comes in for Slicker, who we can say actually is absolutely all right, and we wish him a full recovery. Ilkay Gundogan returns to the bench, as does Zinchenko, who came back to training a couple of days ago. Sandler, Roberts, Yankuto, Pablo Moreno, Ika Pozo, Morgan Rogers, Luke Bolton, Claudio Gomez, Alfred Dinoco and Finley Burns. So now some more familiar names after, of course, we saw a few of them against Preston North End. We'll begin with that player there. You mentioned Michael Brown, Cole Palmer. I think he really showed a touch of class in Preston North End. What is it that excites you about him?
He's got a little bit of everything, hasn't he? And people are starting to, take notice of him all around. There's friends of mine at championship clubs I know have been ringing constantly to take him. They want to get him involved in the squad, which tells you then they really see a pathway. But whether it's going to be at Manchester City and in on that first team, or whether it's going to be a time out on loan to go and develop, to go and mature and play. But these are opportunities. So we've seen different angles with different players, and I'm really fascinated to see how he gets on, because I know for sure the manager really, really rates this guy.
I mean, as well, I think he signed a new 5-year contract a couple of weeks ago as well, which is always great for the club to get a young player like that tied down. At the back, of course, I mean, that's looking like a Premier League starting 11 back four there with Diaz, Mendy, Cancelo and Ake. Ake, Richard, I mean, what do you make of him? He could have a big season ahead.
He could. He was in and out last season. Obviously suffered an injury which kept him out for a long time, and it's an opportunity for him to get game time. I think what we've seen from Pep and from the team last year was players rotate. You know, you'll get plenty of opportunities to play, and it's about staking your place. And he's got the opportunity now to do something today, to form a partnership with Diaz. But I think for the younger lads who are playing in the attacking position, having those 5 or 6 senior players behind them gives them a great help going into a game like this.
And I guess as well, as senior players, you probably take it upon yourself to kind of try and coach them and maybe give them those little pointers, or do you actually go, you run your own out there, kid?
No, you've always got to. Some of the seniors, you're certainly shouting. I know Dunne would have been behind you, literally saying, come here, you Cole Palmer, sit right there, mate, protect me while these attacks are coming, and vice versa. It's all about understanding. And Fernandinho in the centre would be the master of organising all of these young players and even the senior players. So it's just all about learning the roles as you come through at the academies, the younger teams. You see all the ability in the world, don't you? But when you start playing with the senior players, you start to realise the little tricks, the little things that can be the difference. It's learning how to win and how to play at a senior level.
I think as a senior player, you get to a stage in your playing career that you can't play less than 100%. And if you see people around you who are treating games as friendlies and stuff like that, you're soon onto them, telling them, come on, this is proper football now. You need to be at your top level, because one person not performing to his highest then lets me down, then lets the next guy down. Nobody wants that. You want to be on the top game and make sure these games are out getting fit and getting sharp for the season that's ahead. So it's important that you give 100% in each of them.
And set the standard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is set the standard. I was wondering, how do you think they take it, Dunne? Do you know, like regards to this type of game with Pep? Do you feel like it's the player as a pre-season, as a fitness, or do you still feel like he's always going to be that demand at same level? I don't know, because you see sometimes 4-0 up and he's still screaming.
Yeah. I think he demands perfection in everything he does. I don't think he'll let the players take their foot off the gas, and he'll see and he'll go, right, you've done great, there's your 60 minutes, now you can come off and have a rest. But while you're on that field, you have to give it all and make sure that you perform to your highest ability.
Yeah, there was a player who started in the first half against Preston, and we didn't say much about him, and I want to now, Benjamin Mendy. He's kind of been a bit of the mystery case, really. Of course, we've gone with Zinchenko, how well he played there back end of the season, but Mendy is a left back. Do you think this is kind of his season to go? I need to really announce myself, because we have not seen his best, I don't think, yet.
I don't think we have. We've seen flashes of it. A real poor injury. We know that's missed games. He's come back. He's been featured. And then you're thinking, well, this is now going to be his position to go on and play. And he hasn't took it. Zinchenko's come in that area. We've seen Cancelo go and take that position as well from him. So you talk about opportunities over the summer to get himself in the right condition. These are the games now to really make sure that the manager is looking at him to play, because I really do feel these are his last opportunities now. He's a fabulous player, but he's got to make sure he has to do whatever he can to be in that side.
Yeah, I mean, because at Monaco... Sorry, go on, Richard.
No, I think he has the capabilities to be the left-sided Kyle Walker. I think you see with the manager, he rotates Walker and Cancelo to play different systems against different teams. And on the other side, it looks like he's hoping to do that with Mendy and Zinchenko. But Mendy hasn't performed to the same standards as Kyle Walker, and it is because of a lack of games, of bad injuries and stuff like that. So now, hopefully, he's had a good summer. He's made himself as fit as he possibly can be. And this... hopefully for all the City fans, this is the season where he really flows.
It's the intensity, and that's what you're saying. When I'm looking at it, I mean, you talk about Kyle Walker, you talk about Mendy, I'm looking and say the intensity. He seems to play at a nice sort of pace constantly.
Yeah.
And is that because is he carrying anything? Will games get him better at that? And I know, as Richard as well, the more games he's going to get better. But I feel like he needs to force that when he's playing a little bit more.
Yeah, you can see it in him. You can see his desire to get forward is immense. He loves it, but then the recovery isn't as quick as he is going forward, and teams can exploit that if it's not spot on. And I think the manager will demand a higher intensity from that. It's not moments in games, it's a full game you have to do it for, and you have to be prepared to run up and down that wing, get back, tuck in, tackle out wide. Everything like that is what we see from Kyle Walker, we want to see now from Mendy.
And I guess for him then, when we talk about pre-seasons getting fitness, maybe for more Mendy, it's pre-season is about making sure I'm in that starting 11. Because at Monaco, we saw the potential and actually the level he can probably get to, Richard.
Yeah, and I think Monaco had a great side at the time, but I think when you come to the Premier League, it's a different level of intensity, and that's what he's probably not matched as yet. But because of the physicality of him, his athleticism, you know he's got it within him. And I think this is the opportunity for the manager to drill her into him, which I'm sure he has done, and now for him to show it. And if he does show it, you've seen the quality of the balls that he can put in, the speed that he's got, the power that he's got. He has all the attributes of being a really top Premier League left-back, and we just all hope that we can get it out of him and see it here.
I think he's got to convince the manager now. I think we've seen many games that he's been available for selection. The bigger ones towards the end of the season, he wasn't selected. And at that point, as a player, you're looking at, you're coming in, you're thinking, I'm not sure the manager's got me.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to play me, whatever it is, and how can I change his mind? And I've got to do something over the ordinary, a little bit more to do that. He's got to find something because at the moment, Pep's not going to pick him as first choice.
Absolutely.
So he's got to make this game is everything.
Yeah.
Every single game now he plays, if he wants to be at Manchester City in the side, he's got the ability. We know that he's a fantastic player, but there's just something not there at the moment.
Guess as well, he maybe should be taking a leaf out of John Stones' book, because, talking now is going, you could have been talking about John Stones, kind of two years ago, and now he's our main centre-half, so hopefully he can learn a few lessons there. Zach Stefan warming up. Just one more word for me on James McAtee. Got the assist in the second half against Preston North End. I know, very highly thought of. Michael, I don't know if you know too much about him, but he does look a lovely little footballer.
He does look a great footballer. He does his footwork, there's pace, that agility, and he wants more hunger. Just reading a little article on him about how he's had that taste, how he wants to follow Phil Foden and try and get in more minutes. And this tells you now he's playing in these games that straight away he's highly regarded, and he's got to take that opportunity. And it must be difficult as a young player here, where you get that little taste, and then normally at a club you think, well, I'm on the fringes, I'm there now, I want to sit right on and be on the bench and push. This is Manchester City, it's difficult, and this journey for him starts again tonight, and I'm really looking forward to him live.
Likewise. Now, of course, we are taking on Barnsley, who unfortunately went off in the semi-final playoff against Swansea, but a great season. New manager as well this year. Let's take a look at this Barnsley team. It looks like this. We have Collins, Styles, Kitching, Britton, Woodrow, Morris, Moon. And then Palmer, Oda, Fraser and Hellick. And on the bench for Barnsley, Walton, Williams, Benson, Harm or Haim, I think, Sibic, Ritzmeyer, Miller and Thompson. Now, of course, their season will be starting in a week's time. So we are coming up against a Barnsley team that they're more or less going to be ready to start their season. And that's kind of the energy you want to be coming up against, isn't it?
That is the energy. New manager. They've been in for some time. They've got that understanding. They've had a little bit of a change around. They've lost some players. Corley Woodrow at the top of the pitch, 19 goals last season. He is one to watch. And I think something different for these players, and maybe that's in the choice of pre-season game that they've chosen Manchester City, is the manager change has made the type of football they play different. They were very much direct, very much long ball, as big as a long ball as you've seen for some time, and they got themselves into those playoffs. Now they're going to play out 2 centre-backs instead of 3, try and play it around. But will they be brave enough? And this is the opportunity, isn't it, against the press. We know Manchester City want to press really high with the front 3. Can they do it? Are they brave enough, and are they good enough?
Well, we were saying as well, Rich, I mean, I think we say this during a normal season, coming up against City is a tough ask. But, for these lads, what must they be thinking when you're still looking at the bit, even in pre-season going, well, Mahrez is on there, Fernandinho, Ruben Diaz. It is a tough ask, isn't it?
It is a tough ask, and it doesn't matter what Man City team you play. If Pep's the manager, you're in trouble, basically, from the start. But I think for Barnsley, they'll have played pre-season games where they've dominated matches and they've won. And now they probably want to see what they're like without the ball and how they can defend against when they're getting dominated. And it'll be a real big test for them. But they've got the start of their season next week. So for them, this is as important as it comes, really. They want to be in that starting 11 next week. So you can guarantee you're going to get a real high intensity from them to make it a difficult match.
I think what they'll want to do as well is show everybody that they can play,
yes,
at the level they're at. The eyes are watching. It's on TV against some of the best players in the world. And they'll be wanting to show. They'll be so excited. They'll be so looking forward to this, to go and play, to see how they can get on, and it's a huge game for them. And I think, as you said, energy-wise, they're going to be ahead of Manchester City at the moment, so can Manchester City keep that ball, move them around, and it'll be a fascinating game.
Final word, because we talked about baptism of fire when coming back to pre-season. We all know how tough the Championship is, and I guess it's no bad thing for all these young players to be coming up against seasoned pros that are kind of grinding it out in the Championship week and week. They were in the semi-final playoffs, as we said. So it's a great test for the young players.
It is. It's a brilliant test for them, because certainly in the attacking areas, there's not much experience there. So it'll be a force for a lot of them. They won't have played. If Barnsley come, as we expect, with that high intensity, ready to play in the league next week, they'll be expecting to dominate Man City's forward players, to be aggressive with them, to get stuck into them, to show them a few tricks of the trade, to give them a knock off the ball, to block their runs when they want to. And it'll be test that won't be as straightforward for the younger lads as maybe they have sometimes in the 23s. They'll have to, rather than skill their way out of things, they'll have to think their way out of situations at times, which will be another part of their development.
Yeah. This will be like the first test of it, won't they? Do you know, of actually playing a different style at times, a different set piece, where under 23s it's very much play, little areas, little rotations. Now it might be a little bit different. They might still have that longer ball in them, a bit more direct up to the striker, hold it off, and you've got to learn. You've got to find a different way of playing football.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you want to see how we get on against Barnsley, the place to watch it is City Plus. It's so simple. Jump on there, subscribe. You'll get access to watch the game live in full. And while you're there as well, you can get all the other brilliant content that City Plus offers. We have brilliant documentaries, player focuses on the likes of David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne. We also have got a brand new documentary coming around our goalkeeper, Ederson. And can I give him a little teaser? I did last week. We can now.
Nós mudamos para cá em 91, para juntar o dinheiro e compramos aqui, que aqui era tudo barraquinho de madeira, né? Aí juntamos o dinheiro e construímos aqui. Foi a primeira casa. Ele nasceu aqui já.
Oi, aí, rapaziada, beleza?
Bom dia. Bem, de sempre.
Ei, Deboê, lembra desse muro aí? Lembra, babão? A gente desenhava o gol aí, né? Colocava o chinelo aí, descia chute no Ederson, né? E o troféu, qual que era?
Era o Dunne.
O troféu, babão, nosso troféu era o quê?
Foi o Dunne, isso aqui é troféu. Nunca perdemos. Acho que valeu mais que o troféu da Copa, do que da Champions, da Premier que ele ganhou. A nossa Liga dos Campeões. Acho que valia mais.
Essa era a nossa felicidade, né?
O Ederson começou a jogar na linha. Para jogar na linha ia bem, agora para voltar, nem para marcar aí. Precisava de um táxi dele só não.
Que o Edson ele veio para cá não como goleiro, né? Ele veio para cá como jogador de linha. E meu pai ali, treinando os garotos, por algum motivo, não sei qual, tal, acabou colocando o Edson no gol. E no gol meu pai viu que ele tinha cacuete para goleiro. E meu pai gostou, falou assim, olha, eu acho que você tem potencial no gol.
Ele queria sair para chutar. E foi aí que eu comecei a perceber que o chute dele era bom, que era chute forte, que ele tinha um chute perfeito praticamente, né? Aí ele passou não só a ter a jogada ensaiada nos escanteios, como bater os pênaltis da equipe, enfim.
Eu acho que ele não seguiu meus passos, eu acho que ele ultrapassou. Eu acho que isso é o mais importante, né?
Tio Rogério, pé direito da bola, passou pela barreira!
Eu acho que o Ederson talvez seja um exemplo do que é, né, o melhor que você pode ter num goleiro no futebol moderno.
Ele nasceu com esse dom de bater na bola como ele bate, né? Mas era muito evidente.
So if you do sign up to subscribe, not only will you get to watch that Ederson documentary, but you'll also get to watch our second pre-season game against Barnsley in full. It's the only place and only way you're going to be able to watch it. And we're going to be able to see that man there playing 45 minutes, I'm guessing, for the first half. Ruben Diaz, I mean, the impact he had last season obviously kind of goes without saying how massive it was. But now he's had a season under his belt. Dare I ask, Richard, is there a chance that he can probably now get even better and really actually now he's settled and know we could see even more to Diaz in his game?
That's the ideal scenario. It's you would imagine he's settled in and he feels more comfortable and he knows the league, so he improves. But sometimes it can go the other way. It's very important that he starts the season well and he continues the form that he got from last season, because like him knowing the league, the players will know him. They'll understand what he's good at, what he's not so good at. So it's that second season syndrome, you know. If you start well, it's great, you flow and everything's brilliant. So he'll be looking to start the season well, to continue where he left off and continue to progress, because as a centre half, there was nothing near him last season, and we hope it continues.
Well, I mean, Richard, you think you were Player of the Year for us 4 seasons. He's had 1, so he's still got a bit of the way to go yet to get on your level, I think, hasn't he?
He's got a bit to go, hasn't he? You better have to give him a shout, tell him what he needs to do. He's got 4 definite. So got a bit to do, hasn't he? Fantastic achievement, that 4. And it is true, isn't it, that you have to come back and do the same things that you were good at.
Yeah.
And not try to start thinking, well, I can do different things. I can now start pirouetting on the ball and just keep it. What impressed everybody was that desire to defend. I think that's what Manchester City were missing. He was always in front of the ball, always leading, always talking, organising, and that was a fantastic season for him, wasn't it? And I think he was real pivotal in everything that Manchester City did.
Really interested, just picking up what you said out, it can start really well, but it can go the other way. And is it then you kind of just have to not overcomplicate it, don't overthink it, and just do the simple things? What are there any little kind of tricks you're thinking of to go like, how am I going to keep on going the vein in which I was going on?
I think it's true. Everybody used to say it's just your next pass. When you're having a difficult time, when something doesn't go for you, try and relax, try and keep it simple. It sounds stupid, but actually it does work.
Yeah.
You get into an area and you actually think, well, I'll try and make something better, I'll do something different. And it can get a little bit worse, can't it? Well, actually you just go like this, pass the ball simple, play, ease, and just wait and be patient and try and relax.
Yeah.
It's easy saying that, but in big games, this is where these guys are incredible, aren't they? We're seeing top level games that they can actually relax in them, and I think that's the difference, the mentality.
I think what you said about how simplistic he made the game last season. He just defended and he done simple passes and that was it. He didn't try and excel and do crazy stuff for a centre-back, and that's the sort of player he is. So if he continues to do that, he's a really good passer of the ball, he's a really good defender. You don't need to do any more. That's your job in the team. Leave it to the other players. And he's only a young lad as well, which is crazy, so you would imagine he'll understand the game better, he'll improve mentally with the matches, and you look at him and you think, well, he's not going to go backwards. He looks like a player who's going to continuously progress, and I think the next step for him, probably if he has another good season, is that he'll end up being the captain again in not too long.
I think he's still got to perform as well. You look at the competition in and around him, we've seen that change. You just mentioned John Stones, how things can change for him. He'll be very much aware. The other players will be thinking, well, we've seen it happen, we want to go in there, see a couple of mistakes or a lack of form, and then they're all ready. And that's what the difference is. You've got a strong squad, all pushing, all competitive, and I think it's a real good combination there at centre-back.
Yeah, isn't it? It's mad because we haven't even mentioned kind of Laporte, or we haven't even mentioned, we mentioned Ake, but Laporte...
At the start of last season, Laporte was the first one everybody was mentioning.
Yeah,
it's amazing. That's football. Now he has to come back and make sure he gets back to the top of the pile and find that way, and this is top-level football, isn't it, with the choice that they've got?
Yeah, really is. A very welcome return to İlkay Gundogan, or Mr. Whippy. He is back, he is on the bench, so I'm sure that he'll be coming on in the second half, but an incredible season for him, and I guess now as well, he's become a real key player to the way that Manchester City play, Richard.
Yeah, he's the one midfielder, I think, within the squad that can really break the lines. He can get back and defend, but he can run almost unnoticed at times and arrive in the box to score goals. And if you have a centre midfielder scoring 13 goals in the Premier League, it's an outstanding asset for your team. And hopefully he done all right last season in terms of injuries and stuff like that. If he keeps clear again, he's such a clever player and he just knits things together really nicely. And he got the goals, but otherwise he sort of goes unnoticed. But the work that he does is incredible.
Yeah,
it's exactly that. People were actually saying, what does he do? Do you like Gundogan? And what's his role? What does he fit in the team? And actually for him, when he started scoring the goals, I was pleased for him. Yeah. Because all of a sudden then people started to notice him. He was getting more rewards, where actually he was still linking. He was still a very much fantastic player. Everything he did was for the team. And sometimes you get them unnoticed periods, and getting those goals, I think, certainly helped him. He got better and better, making those runs. People will find it, but he's very intelligent.
You mean his position, would it ever frustrate you that, that actually it is sometimes those roles that go unnoticed, and if you love football, you appreciate what they do, but would it get to you sometimes?
Do you know when he goes forward and scores a goal? And he gets a goal, everyone jumps on him, brilliant, because all he's doing is literally filling those gaps, getting into some little areas, protecting, understanding, letting others go and do it. And you don't always get those rewards, and I agree. And sometimes you can have a very, very simple game, and people say, where were you? What did you do? Because all you're doing is covering that space. Yeah. And it is frustrating you don't get the rewards. And I would say that as a midfielder. You run around, do lots of things, and you sometimes... You've got to get a goal, get to something from it, and I was delighted for him.
There was something really telling last season. I don't know if you remember, we were asking all our ex-pros to give us their favourite 11 of players they played with, and it was very telling that I think in nearly everyone's who played with him, Gareth Barry was one of the first names on the team sheet. So it goes to show how key they are for the 11 on the pitch. That role is everything.
Yeah, the midfielders are the most important. Forget everybody else. Definitely.
Hey,
thanks for that.
No worries. Back to pre-season, and I've got a couple of questions that I asked you the guys, but I'm going to begin with it. Do you have a most memorable pre-season that either of you went on, or a memorable game at all?
I think for me, there were several ones. You started at a lower teams than yourself, wherever it would be. Some strange situations where you're thinking, how are you even playing this game? How it's being organised? The pitch is terrible, and then you progress through and you play some different games. And I was at Fulham. We went to Austria, and Real Madrid were in the same hotel. So the game was obviously against Real Madrid. That was the game, and we're thinking, well, Chris Coleman might give us a night out here. So the next day we played the game, fantastic, Real Madrid. We go down to the bar, and they're all there, all the Real Madrid team having a drink. So Jimmy Bullard goes to me, watch this, let's get the drinks. He goes and gets a guitar and starts singing in this posh hotel, Old MacDonald Had a Farm. So you can just imagine, can't you, the Real Madrid players, what is this guy all about? So there's one of my special moments in pre-season.
I love that. What about for yourself, Richard?
I used to love pre-season basically for the fact that the travel, you get to go to some amazing places. We went to South Africa on one trip, which was incredible. We got to meet Nelson Mandela and things like that. So you get those experiences alongside the football. I think as well the similar thing we had in Austria as well, with where we used to go into this really cold river after training and just as a cool down, and we'd walk down it, and one by one you just see the players moving out of the way, and it was just this big snake coming through the middle of the river, and everyone was just hopping away, just trying to get as far as possible, and that was the end of the river trip.
I mean, imagine just looking at that, just seeing all these pro footballers running. Do you know what I mean? That is class. I mean, take Madrid, Sergio Mandela.
Well,
can you top that?
I can't top it. I've got a few, but we'd have to
we had to cut the camera.
Yeah, we'll tell you off air.
I wondered as well, because I know you of course it's their job, professional footballers, but how intense now the calendar is, and kind of how many games are played. I always think sometimes, do you not come back and go, wouldn't mind it a few extra weeks? Because you look and go, for all the games, 2-3 weeks off doesn't seem a lot, but are you kind of ready to come back? I don't know,
I personally think the players this year have played in the Euros to only have 3 weeks off, the level that they've gone to. I think personally they would probably like a couple more.
Yeah.
And I think we understand that, a little bit more downtime. They can relax with their families and friends and just take that little bit of a gas, because it's actually been relentless for these players this year. The amount of games Manchester City had going into the Euros, and then build back up. Yeah. Build your pre-season, find your legs, have a couple of weeks to come back. Or actually they're going to come back in, and actually straight away you've got Spurs on the horizon and only that little bit of a block to build up. So Pep Guardiola might need to manage that situation, and I think they understand it now. The players get their heads around what they need to do, but it's so difficult to not have that mental break.
Yeah, of course.
I think as well with the COVID situation on the 2 seasons ago, to then drift straight into another full long season and into a Euros, it's been a long time at a high level for a lot of the players.
Yeah. Best and worst trainers, throughout the pre-season, who would be? We'll begin with the...
They have certainly got to be them.
Wow.
I've seen some bad trainers in my time.
So this will be Michael Brown's final appearance on the show. Buried me there. But no, we'll begin with best trainers in a pre-season. Was there anyone who always would lead by example? Oh, they're loving that in the gallery, by the way.
I've got to say myself, got to be running, getting fit. Now, listen, there's lots of good trainers, but ultimately, you do it, you get everything in order to be in the condition to play. And you've seen the best trainers at times don't always put it in, and it's all about literally the first game. When you're ready, you start to see who's prepared and who's not. You can have the best pre-season, but ultimately,
it's got to come through on the game.
You start to see once the season starts.
Can you throw anyone under the bus, Richard? Can you think of anyone through the years who would never have a great, you'd think a bit lazy in pre-season?
There's a difference. Is like, I was terrible in pre-season. I was just always at the back, but I always tried, and eventually I'd get there, whereas you could see there's some people who didn't try a leg from day one, and maybe they want to leave the club or they want to move on, and that's the reason why. But as long as you put the effort in, it doesn't matter whether you finish first or last, as long as you're improving and you're getting there. Whereas some people would literally not lift the leg and expect to be playing at the start of the season like that, and then they're not in the team, and then throw the
But there was some who did that and still were in the team.
Yeah.
They almost pretty much knew whatever they did, they were going to play. The manager liked them. He thinks, well, I'll put an arm around them, get them through it, and get the best out of them. So it's, there is, it's always that sort of uncertainty, isn't it, in pre-season, where you think you've done enough, what the manager's going to go, and I think now, as well, not having a pre-season, a few of these players might think, do you know what, 1 or 2 weeks, quite good.
Yeah, I mean, you say uncertainty, you know, of course, we see how much transfer talk happens, you know. Does that kind of bleed into the camp a little bit? You know, when you might not, you know, seen so many names being linked here, there. Do you discuss that as a team? Like, or with each other, or is it kind of just the unsaid?
I think it's, you know, I think you do. I think you say, well, imagine if he come, where would he be at, whatever. But at this level, I think maybe less so. That I just feel like they accept that there'll be more players coming. They've got to perform at the highest level, and they tend to say less. I don't know. I think it's just that understanding of dressing room. They expect big players to come.
I think that these standard of players, they want the big names coming in. They want the best players in the world to play alongside them, and they're not concerned about their place in the team, because they know if they continue to train and continue to play when they have the opportunities, that there's enough games in a season to be rotated around to get your games.
There's nothing worse, though, do you know, when there's actually, you know, that a particular player's come right in your position. And they walk in the dressing room and you say, nice to meet you, nice to see you. And you're actually thinking, really? Not really like to see you, mate. I'm lying. I'm not telling the truth one bit. And you've got to go, and then the first session, the ball comes short. And if you get tight to him, everyone's going, oh, he's
letting you know I'm there, innit?
Know you're there. So.
I'll be doing that to you now. You've commented on them trainers. I won't get close.
I'm under pressure now,
well, if you've just joined us, thank you for joining us. It's Kel Spellman with Michael Brown and Richard Dunne. We are building up to our second pre-season game against Barnsley here at the CFA. And if you want to watch it, the place you can watch it, City Plus. See what I did there? Thank you very much. And I can now bring you our starting 11 for that game as well. It looks like this. Zach Stefan starts in net. At the back, João Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake and Benjamin Mendy. In the middle, I think it's going to be Fernandinho with Cole Palmer. If we look to that Preston North End game, that's where he played. A three of Riyad Mahrez, James McAtee and Sam Edozie. And Ben Nye up front completes the 11. On our bench, we've got Mickey Van Sass, the under-18s keeper from last year, of course, comes in for Slicker. Ilkay Gundogan is back, ladies and gentlemen, as is Zinchenko. Came back to training, I think, either yesterday or the day before. Hopefully see him in the second half. Philippe Sandler, Patrick Roberts, Jan Couto, Pablo Moreno, Ika Pozo, Morgan Rogers, Luke Bolton, Claudio Gomez, Alpha Dinoco and Finley Burns. Gents, just a little word, of course, on Team GB, who unfortunately were beaten 4-3 in extra time against Australia, but a very strong Manchester City contingent there. We had around 8 players. Again, it just seems that Manchester City players are here, there and everywhere, whether at the Euros, whether it be in the Copper, but there are the girls there. And we had 8 players there in that first 11, 2 on the bench. Quarterfinals is still a great achievement, isn't it, Richard?
Fantastic achievement. It's difficult when you're putting players together for a tournament. They're not used to playing alongside each other. But to have 8 City players involved in it's incredible to be able to say that 8 of the representing the whole of Great Britain are from Manchester City. It's quite staggering.
Really, really is. Ellen White as well, getting a hat-trick there in that final game as well. And a little word on Karen Bardsley, of course, fantastic pro and professional for Manchester City, has signed a contract extension. I think we might be able to bring you that moment as it's happening. Here's Karen Bardsley now after she signed that year extension.
KB, another year in Manchester City Blue. Congratulations. How does it feel?
Thanks. Yeah, it feels great to be back. I've really missed, being back here in Manchester. Although I had a great time on loan, there's no place like home. So I'm really excited to be back.
And entering your 8th season with the club, how does that make you feel?
Old. No, it's great to, be a part of something that's grown so quickly and to be here from the start and to see what it's become. I feel really proud of that, and it's flown by, I have to say. So long may it continue.
And from your first signing interview, what an incredible journey it's been.
Yeah, from the signing that we did over at the Etihad, and we did kind of like a makeshift photo shoot, and the way everything's kind of developed to see the CFA here now and to see the Etihad over there over your shoulder. We've added a few trophies along the way, World Cup medal in a few different appearances and major tournaments. And yeah, it's more than I could have ever hoped for.
And how are you feeling ahead of the new season? Obviously the last few have been a little bit challenging, but how are you doing?
I'm excited. I think every year, particularly around this time, you know, it's an opportunity to have a think about what you want to achieve, and it's a fresh start, isn't it? So you just draw a line under the last season, and you just kind of think, right, okay, how can we make progress? How can we make something different? How can we get more of a positive impact this season? You know, where are the fine margins and stuff that we can hopefully you know, reduce the gaps on. And ultimately for me, I think, you know, it's another year of experience under the belt for a lot of our players. We've got a lot of young players that are getting a lot of experience, and that's only going to, you know, grow everyone in terms of their confidence, their self-belief, but also their ambition and their drive. So I'm really excited for it. Yeah, I can't wait to see where we end up.
Fantastic news. Karen Barnsley back at Manchester City for another year. Now, this is slowly becoming my favourite moment, is watching Rondo close up. And you know when you always think, I'm not too bad at that when I do it with my mates. You see that, and it's just different gravy. The touch and the speed it's frightening, isn't it, Michael?
It's very, very good, mate. Just looking and seeing how they move it around. And when you're in the middle chasing, it's not ideal, getting nutmegged and getting it put around you. You make that fun, you can make it intense, and you know, it's a game of skill, a game of awareness, and there's lots of little drills, little possessions that you can have, one in the middle, two in the middle, and they go endless little squares you can do, but they're all, you know, so relative to the game.
Yeah. So we mentioned now about, of course, a great, strong Manchester City representation over at the Olympics, and it was the exact same at the Euros, because we had 13 of our players go to the Euros, and they all at least progressed to the knockout stages, which again is so brilliant, and I think a credit, you know, to the players in the club. I wondered, first of all, you know, when you'd go off on international fixtures, do you talk about it, going, I know I'm going to be playing, you know, we've been on the same team for the last 3 months, but next week we're going against it. Would you have little niggles and little jokes of each other, or is it the unsaid, Richard?
No, but I think the build-up to games, to international games, you're trying to find out what's going on in the other squad, and you're speaking to players, and if you're playing against one at the weekend, you're thinking, I might do him, see so he's not playing or whatever, but it's all a little bit light-hearted, I think, before the games, and certainly after. If it's a result that you win or you lose, you don't tend to bring it back to the dressing room and start rubbing people's faces in it.
Yes, he does. He would. He definitely would. If he'd have got a result, he would have. But no, it is that sort of just that little bit of banter, don't you? Say that you're playing against him at the weekend, looking forward to it, maybe a little text in the morning, let's have a look at you tonight, or whatever it may be. I think that still happens, but I don't think it's as raw as what it would have been, where I think a few years back, I think there would have been a bit more of that. The players will be a little bit extra into the teammate, let him know that he's there. And you know, it's interesting that the level they're playing at, and they're all meeting each other in tournaments. And thankfully, everybody came back in a good condition.
Yeah, and of course, we're still awaiting the return of quite a few of our Manchester City players who played for England as well. I think they'll be back very soon. A word on Zinchenko, of course, captained Ukraine, who had a really brilliant run. And actually, you know, we see him in an unfamiliar position, really, for us, because we're so used to seeing him at left back. But he really just seems to be kind of growing into himself. And I think his performances for Ukraine were spoke about quite a lot. Incredibly impressive campaign. I think must be great then to take that and bring it into this season, Richard.
Yeah, I think for a player like Zinchenko, when he's training here and playing here every week with some of the best players in the world, to then bring that back to a squad which probably isn't of the same calibre as what a Manchester City squad, he has to be the leader, and he's taken that responsibility on to say, we're not just going to accept being okay and winning a game or drawing a game. We want to be the best we possibly can, and he's trying to drag it out of all those Ukrainian players, trying to improve them. And you can see when he was playing in the Euros the passion he has for his country, and I think it's a credit to Man City that the players that go on international duty aren't just another player in the team. They're actually the best players, and they're the players that are improving those countries in every country that we see with a City player. The City player is generally the best one.
Has he surprised you? Do you know his development at Manchester City, where he's gone to?
He has done, because there's been so many occasions when you think they've signed someone else, he's going to move on, and he always fights back. He always wants to be part of the squad. He always ends up playing in the important games, and that takes a mental side to him which is massively strong, to be able to improve his game. For every single manager that's come in or every tactic that's developed, he makes himself a role in that team, and he's become a very important player. And he won't play every week, and he won't start maybe all the matches he wants to start, but he's there for important moments, and the managers seem to really trust him.
Yeah, I mean, started in the Champions League final as well. I guess you can't get any more trust than that. And not forgetting as well, he turned down the chance to move from City to Wolves when they accepted that bid. So I love him. I absolutely do love him. Also as well, of course, we had some Brazilians as well playing over in the Copa America. Unfortunately, Gabriel Jesus was suspended in the quarterfinals, but Ederson, of course, playing in there. And they'll be coming back as well with Fernandinho. Even our South American contingent is, again, some of the strongest and best players from their countries.
Oh, it's just fantastic. You just look at, you're talking about the women's side, all represented all over the world. And this is Manchester City now. The brand is so strong, the players all around, the whole community for Manchester City, and it keeps getting better and better and stronger. I think it's the uncertainty now for Pep Guardiola. He'll be thinking, fantastic, they're all at the tournaments, they all did very, very well, but I need them back. I want to get them back. I want to get organised. It's such a tight turnaround for that first game, and I think that's going to be really difficult to start the season, because we're so sort of enriches regarding all around the world with international football.
Yeah. Well, Michael, I think we're gonna bid you farewell, because you're now going to go and join Alistair Mann for the commentary.
Don't say anything bad about me.
No, you'll be lucky if you come back at half time, I think, Michael. But no, absolute pleasure. Remember, if you want to hear Michael and you want to hear Alistair and watch the game, just go over to City Plus, subscribe, and you'll be able to enjoy that in its entirety. And of course, as well, all that other brilliant content that you can find on City Plus. Honestly, I'm not just saying it, guys. Really is well worth you getting involved and stuck into that. Pep Guardiola, Richard, as kind of Michael mentioned him there, this is now the longest time that he's going to have spent at a club. I mean, what first of all does that say about kind of the surroundings and the team itself to have made him stay, do you think?
Yeah, I think he spoke previously when he was at the other clubs that he's probably worn himself out and worn the players out because of the high intensity. But he has so much support here with all the backroom staff that's around. He feels so comfortable with the boardroom that's above him, and they want success. They all want success. And I think as long as Pep realises or sees that the people around him want to continue to achieve, it makes him happy. Yeah. And you can see he's still got the hunger. He still wants to win trophies. And obviously the Champions League was a disappointment last year, but they'll still be going out to try and win it again this year. And I think when a manager of his calibre, the amount of effort and time that he puts into creating tactics and working on styles of play consumes him a lot, but he's still managing to keep all them players happy. We speak about all those players going to the Euros and performing in the Euros. They can't perform if they're not happy, and they're here. They're probably not playing as much as they want to play, but he's making people feel special. So I think he's just in a really good environment, and it's a great place to be. And obviously for us to have Pep here and being able to watch his teams is fantastic. It
really is an absolute dream. And I think you said it at the top of the show, and I wanted to come back to it, is you do forget actually, pre-season, as much as it is important for the players, actually probably for the managers and coaching staff as well, it's just as important, isn't it?
Yeah, hugely. And I think as well when there's a major tournament on in the summer, and obviously we've had 2 this year with the Copa America as well, and it's new trends develop, and coaches want to see what's the newest trend in football, what are other coaches doing. And I'm sure Pep will have watched games and seen different things and different styles and different areas of the pitch, which he thinks maybe I can implement that, but I might just add this to it. And he will have worked it in training, he will have written it down on pieces of paper to see how it looks, and these are the games, the opportunities to put it into play
and see how it plays out. Lovely. Well, don't forget, in Pep we trust. Before we head over to Alistair Mann and Michael Brown for commentary of City versus Barnsley. So, Richard, do you fancy a mystery blue, the first one of the season?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Here we are. Let's have a little gander at this week's mystery blue. First one of the season. Here we go. There you go. All you have to do is tweet your guess using the hashtag ManCity. Oof. I feel like I've seen that picture, but I can't remember who it is.
Yeah.
I feel all right. I feel like I've got... No, we don't have to guess. No, we'll sit on that for a little bit. We're going to look at that at half-time. So this is where you can come join us and we'll talk about the first half. And remember, just use that hashtag ManCity. And remember, if you do want to watch this game, City Plus is the place to do it. And then once you've done that, come back online, watch however you watch this, and we'll come join you at half-time. Michael Brown has got your commentary with Alistair Mann. Richard Dunne, thank you so much. We'll be back at half-time. Thank you. It's been so great to be back fingers crossed, we're going to be talking about another Manchester City win. So many exciting young talent on show. Ben Knight, James McAtee, Sam Adozie, and of course on the bench as well, a whole host of other brilliant talent that we'll see in the second half. Thank you so much for joining us. Grab yourself a brew and we'll see you at half time. Come on, City.